Hurricane Milton. Level 1. Hurricane Milton is a big storm. It hits Florida and causes many problems. It kills 10 people and cut power for over 3 million homes and businesses. The hurricane is strong at first, but gets weaker as it moves. Many places flood. More than 27 tornadoes hit different areas. 5 people die in St. Lucie County. One woman, Crystal Coleman, is very scared when a tornado damages her house. Many people are still without power. Their homes are broken. President Joe Biden says that the government will send help to Florida. The damage is bad, but many people think it can be worse. Level 2. Hurricane Milton caused a lot of damage in Florida, killed at least 10 people, and left millions without power. The storm hit the West Coast as a strong Category 3 hurricane but weakened as it moved to the East Coast. Although Florida avoided the worst-case situation, many places experienced heavy flooding and tornadoes. Over 27 tornadoes touched down, and they killed 5 people in St. Lucie County. Some people, like Crystal Coleman, were scared as the storm damaged their homes. Many areas were already struggling after Hurricane Helene hit just 2 weeks earlier. The storm caused big problems for homes and businesses, but Governor Ron DeSantis said it was not as bad as everyone expected. Level 3. Hurricane Milton caused widespread destruction across Florida, killed at least 10 people, and left over 3.2 million homes and businesses without power. The hurricane weakened as it moved toward Florida's east coast, avoiding the feared worst-case scenario, according to Governor Ron DeSantis. However, severe flooding and tornadoes were reported, with at least 27 tornadoes hitting the state. St. Lucie County suffered the most damage, with 5 deaths, including 2 in senior living communities. The Tampa Bay area avoided the worst storm surge but experienced flooding on barrier islands. Residents shared terrifying stories, like Crystal Coleman, who feared for her life as a tornado ripped off her roof. Many homes were destroyed, and some areas were still recovering from Hurricane Helene 2 weeks earlier. Despite Milton weakening from a Category 5 to a Category 3 hurricane, it caused significant damage, especially from tornadoes and flooding. President Joe Biden emphasized the need for disaster relief funding. Diddy trial. Level 1. Rapper Sean Diddy Combs will go to trial in May 2025. The trial is about sex trafficking and wrong business activities. Lawyers say that Diddy uses his businesses to bring women and men across the U.S. Then he forces them into sexual activities. Diddy says that he does not do anything wrong, but the judge can send him to prison for the rest of his life. His mother and daughters are in court, too. Diddy's lawyer says that all people agree with the sexual actions. He asked the judge to stop the media from getting too much information. At the same time, many people say that Diddy attacks them sexually. Level 2. Rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs will go to trial in May 2025 because of sex trafficking and illegal business activities. It seems that he used his businesses to bring women and men across the U.S. for sexual activities, but he says he is not guilty. If he is guilty, Diddy could spend the rest of his life in prison. His mother and daughters were in court to support him. Diddy's lawyer says that the sexual actions were with permission and asked the judge to stop the media from getting too much information. At the same time, Diddy is also facing other cases. Many people accused him of things like sexual attacks. Level 3. A U.S. judge has ruled that rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs will face trial in May 2025 on charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. Combs, who has pleaded not guilty, is accused of using his business empire to transport women and male sex workers across state lines for recorded sexual activities. If convicted, he could face a life sentence. Combs has been in jail for the last 3 weeks following raids on his homes in Miami and Los Angeles earlier this year. His mother, Janice, and other family members, including his daughters, were in court to support him. Combs' lawyer has claimed the sexual activities were consensual and has requested a gag order to prevent evidence leaks to the media. Besides the criminal case, Combs is also facing several civil lawsuits from people accusing him of sexual misconduct. Prosecutors have hinted at more charges, which could further complicate his legal battle. 2024 Medicine Nobel Prize. Level 1. U.S. scientists Victor Ambros and Gary Ruvkun win the 2024 Nobel Prize for Medicine. They find out about microRNA. MicroRNA is a very small molecule. It helps control how genes work in the body. Genes tell the body how to make your muscles, heart, and brain. At first, the two men find microRNA in worms. Later, they see that it is important for people too. Their discovery helps scientists to learn more about how the body works. Medicine cannot use the discovery yet, but it may help in the future. Level 2. The 2024 Nobel Prize for Medicine went to U.S. researchers Victor Ambros and Gary Ruvkun. They won nearly €1 million for discovering microRNA, a tiny molecule which helps control how genes work. This research is important because it helps explain how different cells, like muscles, neurons, and heart cells, develop from the same DNA. At first, scientists found microRNA in worms, but later, they learned it is also important in humans. The award is for basic science, so there are no clear uses in medicine right now. The discovery helps scientists understand better how genes turn into proteins, which may be useful in the future. Level 3. The Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine was awarded to U.S. researchers Victor Ambros and Gary Ruvkun for discovering microRNA. They will share nearly €1 million. MicroRNA is a class of small molecules that play a vital role in regulating how genes are expressed, influencing the development of different types of cells in the body, such as muscles, neurons, and heart cells. Their discovery was made in the 1990s and initially focused on a worm species. However, by 2000, it was found that microRNA is also essential in humans. Although the award recognizes basic scientific research, there are no direct medical applications for it yet. The discovery is considered a significant advancement in understanding how genes are translated into proteins, but more research is needed to uncover its future benefits. China has new rules on EU brandy. Level 1. China is making new rules for brandy from the EU, especially brands from France like Hennessy. This happens when the EU decides to put new taxes on electric cars from China. China says that brandy from the EU is hurting its brandy makers. France thinks that these new rules are not fair. France wants to work with the EU to solve the problem. China is also thinking about putting more taxes on big cars from Germany. Last year, German car companies sell many cars with large engines to China. These changes show that China and the EU are having problems with business. The situation is getting worse, mainly with France and Germany. Level 2. China decided to add temporary rules on brandy imports from the EU. This decision mainly affects French brands like Hennessy. This happened after the EU decided to put tariffs on Chinese electric cars. China's government says that importing brandy from the EU hurts its local industry. France says these rules are unfair and will work with the European Commission to solve the problem. China is also considering increasing taxes on large cars, which could affect German car companies. These new rules show that the trade fight between China and the EU is getting worse, especially between China and France. Level 3. China has introduced temporary anti-dumping measures on brandy imports from the EU, especially affecting famous French brands like Hennessy and Remy Martin. This comes after the EU voted to impose tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles, EVs. According to China's Commerce Ministry, EU brandy imports have harmed China's domestic industry. France criticized the move, calling it unfair and against free trade principles, and plans to work with the European Commission to challenge it at the World Trade Organization. Additionally, China announced it is reviewing potential tariff increases on large engine vehicles, which would heavily impact German manufacturers. These actions are seen as part of growing trade tensions between China and the EU, particularly targeting France, which has supported the new EV tariffs.